They say you are what you eat. But if that's true, then America might be fast food because we hardly make anything ourselves anymore. If Uncle Sam tried to build a smartphone from scratch, he'd probably end up calling tech support in China. It's a funny image, but behind it lies a serious question about our national strength. In fact, the Economic Policy Institute reported on August 10th of 2020, the United States has lost over 91,000 factories, nearly 5 million manufacturing jobs since 1997. 91,000 factories gone. That massive industrial decline isn't just an economic statistic, it's a national security red flag. Has US deindustrialization created a national security problem? In other words, has the hollowing out of Made in America weakened our nation's safety? My answer is a resounding yes. It's a triple threat. First, it eroded our defense industrial base. Second, it left us dependent on foreign supply chains. And third, it gave strategic advantages to rivals like China. After World War II, America was known as the arsenal of democracy. We outproduced the world to keep the peace. But over the last few decades, something changed. Starting in the 1970s and accelerating sharply in the 1990s, US manufacturing declined sharply. Globalization, the pursuit of cheaper labor, sent many factories overseas, and by the 2000s, millions of factory jobs had vanished, and once thriving industrial towns turned into the Rust Belt. For years, people shrugged this off as mere economic evolution. Out with old smokestacks, in with new service jobs. But as those factory floors emptied, we missed something crucial. They were also the cornerstone of our national security. First, deindustrialization has weakened America's defense industrial base. The cause is simple. As factories closed or moved abroad, our capacity to produce military goods shrank. As a result, we have a hollowed-out arsenal that struggles to meet our military's needs. And then we have a military less prepared for conflict. Even the Pentagon has sounded the alarm. In fact, in 2022, a Pentagon report found the defense industry could collapse from 51 firms in the 1990s to just 5 today, leaving the US increasingly reliant on a small number of suppliers. It also noted that 90% of US missiles come from only 3 sources. And this isn't just about numbers or companies, it's about capacity. In fact, Defense Institute News reported on February 5th of last year that a draft Pentagon strategy warned today's industrial base would be challenged to provide the required capabilities to prevail in a major conflict. In plain English, if a big war broke out, we might struggle to build enough ships, tanks, or missiles fast enough. A country that once outbuilt the world now wonders if it can even arm itself. Industrial decline has led to limited production capacity, and the impact is clear. Our security is weaker when we can't quickly gear up to defend it. Second, deindustrialization has made the US dangerously dependent on foreign supply chains. By outsourcing so much production, we created a completely new risk. We were chasing lower costs abroad, and as a result, we're now reliant on imports for critical goods that we need to survive. The impact is a vulnerability if those imports are cut off or turned against us. Take microchips, the tiny brains in our phones, cars, and of course, missiles. The Council on Foreign Relations warned on April 17th of last year that over 90% of the world's most advanced semiconductors aren't manufactured in Iowa or Texas. They're manufactured in Taiwan, and hardly any anywhere in the US. If a crisis hit Taiwan, the US could be cut off from the chips that power our economy and military. Or consider raw materials. Reuters reported on June 3rd of 2019 that China supplies about 80% of the rare earth metals that the US imports. These rare earth metals are critical for things like fighter jet engines and missile guidance systems. And yet, Beijing's dominance means it could use that as leverage in a crisis. In short, we've become dependent on potentially hostile nations for the very components that keep our country running and safe. Offshoring industry has only led to dependency on others. As we can see, we now have a strategic vulnerability of our own making. And third and most importantly, deindustrialization has ceded strategic ground to rival powers, most notably China. As America's factories went dark, China's lit up. because of our industrial decline, we had China's industrial boom, the impact, a direct threat to our U.S. security. According to the Center of Strategic and International Studies, on March 6th of last year, China is acquiring high-end weapons and equipment, not one time, not two times, not three times, 5 to 6 times faster than the United States. And the Associated Press noted on December 8th of last year that China's Navy is now the world's largest, with one congressman warning that for every one ship America builds, China can build 359. U.S. officials warned that a weak American industrial base could invite aggression from adversaries who see an opening. And yet, in other words, we can see that our deindustrialization has helped create the effect of China's massive industrial war machine, and now we have a more dangerous world where America's edge is no longer assured. In summary, U.S. deindustrialization has clearly undermined national security. First, it weakened our defense base. Second, it created perilous supply dependencies. And third, it empowered our rivals. In clear terms, we saw the erosion of American industry. We now have critical vulnerabilities and emboldened adversaries. And as an impact, we have a U.S. that is less secure. So to conclude, the question we started with was whether deindustrialization has become a national security problem. And the evidence makes it clear that it has. This isn't about nostalgia or anything. It's about realism. A nation that can't make its own ships, chips, or steel cannot fully secure itself. The arsenal of democracy has rusted, but it can be reforged. By rebuilding our industrial base, investing in factories, technology, and skilled workers, we ensure that America's security is never outsourced. It's a tough generational project, as National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said, but our future safety depends on it.